I'm Steve Tattersall with Antares Tile in Boulder, Colorado. Today I'm installing the quick drain PVC drain against the back wall, and I'm going to build it so that when the drain cover is on, the tile from the back wall is going to come down right next to the drain. I'll have Schluter on this side, and then that will be my slope. So in order to do that, I've had to lower the subfloor. So I cut the subfloor out all the way around. I installed the rapid recess brackets. They overlap, they tongue and groove into each other like this. There are brackets that go along the wall. These are old style brackets. They've come out with a newer model. So I'm not going to go into too much about that. On this side over here, since the drain is sitting right flush with the joist, I sistered a 2x4 underneath. I brought it out 1.25 inches or 3/4 of an inch to hold the flange of the drain. While everything was out, I was able to plumb, put everything together, slide these boards underneath the drain. They sit on top of other Z brackets in the back to the subfloor. Also, because of the flange can only go this close, I'm going to shim this wall out 1/4 of an inch. I've got 1/4 inch go board that I'm going to lay on top of the studs first, then come out with my 1/2 inch backer to cover everything. Tile on top of that is going to bring my tile right next to the drain cover. With these slots here on the drain cover, you've got a certain amount that you can slide back and forth. So I'm pretty confident this is all going to work out. This is not the drain cover I'm using. Since the drain cover is at the back wall, I'm going to use the tile-in cover. It's just like a wall drain. Instead of having the chrome here, there's tile that goes inside there that matches all the rest of the tile on the floor. So I'm going to be doing all of this with Go Board. I'm using their new Go Board wedges, which go on the floor. They're 100% waterproof. I will thin set them down onto the subfloor. Then all they need is a bead of Go Board sealant in the gaps. So I'll start laying my Go Board, and I've got my 1/4 inch shim board here on the studs, and I'm going to put a bead of Go Board sealant along here just as a second line of defense. And in checking, so these are the spacers that go on top of your drain cover, and they have a little shoulder on them, and that shoulder has to rest on top of the drain here. And like I said, it can move side to side. So with that on there, my 1/2 inch backer board in place, and a piece of tile, I'm going to slide right behind that drain. And I may have to slide it out a little bit. The important part is that if you shim this out too far, then that little collar that sits on top of the drain, you've covered that up. And even if your tile sat up a little bit to accommodate that, that would still work. So I have my Go Board on the walls. Now I'm going to measure. Here's the slope material. This is the Go Board wedge. You can see that it tapers down to nothing from a full inch. And I'm trying to determine where this is going to cut to match up to this floor. I'm going to have 1/4 inch backer on here. It's going to be Ditra heat, but in fact I'm going to have 1/4 inch on here. And when I'm running the Ditra, personally, I like to run some of the Go Board maybe out to about here, just so that I can have that waterproof integrity right here. So I've got this 1/4 inch Go Board in between the screws, and I can slide the wedge till I find where it's level, which is right about here. I can cut it there. Boom. And then figure out how it's going to fit to the other side. But that is my level coming out of the shower. When I put my 1/4 inch go board on here with the thin set, I'm going to put it on here and I'm going to pound it down. The go board is soft enough that it won't teeter on those nails. You can give it a hit with a hammer and it'll lay flat. So I took the wedge panel and I cut it to length to the edge of the drain, and it's pretty high. My primary is to get it to match up to the floor and the rest of the bathroom, and it's pretty high. So here's a piece of 1/4 inch, and this on here is going to be a darn nice fit. With liquid waterproofing, I can tape and I can do all of that, but I've always had a hard time putting the Schluter edging on there. Your edging ends up so low that you're building and building and building up with mud underneath it. It oozes out underneath the drain, and it's a little problematic. I believe if I put a bead of go board sealant on here and adhere this 1/4 inch, when I go to put my Schluter where it's supposed to be, I can just run all of my tile from there. Thin set's going to compensate for any slope. It's a darn good fit, and that's how this is going to go. So I've applied my sealant all over. The rule is to leave an 1/8 of an inch gap in between your go board corners, top to bottom. Anywhere you've got go board touching go board, you leave an 1/8 of an inch. You fill that 1/8 of an inch with a 1 inch overlap that goes all the way around. This drain comes with drain extensions. They are little pieces of stainless, and they're made to work with the clamping collar, which I don't like to use. And what I've done in the past is I go ahead and I flatten it out. I set it in the go board sealant so that it's 100% waterproof, but it makes it so that when you clean and you're doing the drain and you're cleaning and scrubbing, it's going to be a nice surface here that you can keep clean and clean out the inside of your drain. After I put the sealant on around the drain here, I went and I pulled the protective covering off the drain, which gave me this nice line in the back. I also put goat sealant along this edge of the go board where that Schluter is going to sit. And I've done the corners, all of the screw holes, and I'm ready for tile. And here's how the drain turned out in the end. I decided against the Schluter to edge the tile. It all fits so clean to the tile in cover. I just decided it was going to be just as well without it. And I wanted to give a little technical information about the go board. Number one, the sealant that you put on, it wants an hour to skin over before you put thin set on top of it. So it's not 20 minutes, it's an hour. If you're using conventional drywall screws, those are to attach every 6 inches. If you use the go board screws, those are going to go every 8 inches. Go board also sells a nail with a washer on it, and those can go every 12 inches in your finishing. And again, I want to stress that you leave an 1/8 of an inch in between your boards. You fill that gap and put a 1 inch of sealant on both sides of that also. And I think that's about it. If you've been using the Weedy board, Weedy is $45 a sheet. The Go board is around $22 a sheet. Weedy board has a tensile strength of 65 pounds per square inch. Go board is 200 pounds per square inch. So you're getting a far stronger product, a cheaper product. It works the same way as the Weedy with the sealant and the nails with washers and all that sort of thing. You can carry 4 or 5 at a time. It's clean. It's all that sort of thing. And if you don't have an extra $50 in your budget to put a waterproof board up all the way around, I don't You're bidding wrong. Just for the ease of operation and everything else with the Go board. So that's about it. I'm Steve Tattersall with Antares Tile in Boulder, Colorado. You can see my install videos of these drains on YouTube. If you Google up Steve, or if you YouTube for Steve Tattersall quick drain installations, you should be able to find me. And this is how I build a shower.